President Trump will deliver a speech about radical Islam to leaders of Muslim countries when he is in Saudi Arabia for his first foreign trip, the White House said Tuesday. The speech, said National Security Advisor H R McMaster, will be inspiring yet direct about the need to confront radical ideology. The speech is intended to unite the broader Muslim world against common enemies of all civilization and to demonstrate America's commitment to our Muslim partners, said McMaster. It is unclear if any of the leaders from the 7 Muslim-majority countries Trump initially singled out in his first executive order imposing a travel ban, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Sudan, Libya, Somalia, and Yemen, will be in attendance at the meeting. The second draft of the order removed Iraq from this list, and both are currently held up in court. The White House did not respond to questions about the countries in attendance. Saudi Arabia has invited Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir, who the International Criminal Court has a warrant for regarding war crimes in Doha, to the summit with Trump, according to the Associated Press. McMaster said the speech would be given at a lunch with leaders of more than 50 Muslim countries, although he did not specify what leaders would be in attendance and from what countries. McMaster did say that Trump would be holding bilateral meeting with members of the Gulf Cooperation Council, but none of those countries are part of that group. The speech will likely draw increased attention to what is already supposed to be a high-profile trip, given his rhetoric about Muslims in the United States, which many pundits and Democrats have deemed discriminatory. Trump's attempt to implement a travel ban followed his call on the campaign trail for a complete and total shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. The common thread linking the major Islamic terrorist attacks that have occurred on our soil, 9/11, the Fort Hood shooting, the Boston bombing, the San Bernardino attack, the Orlando attack, is that they have involved immigrants or the children of immigrants, he said in Ohio last summer. Clearly new screening procedures are needed. U.S. President Donald Trump will urge unity between the world's major faiths on an ambitious first foreign trip that will take him to Saudi Arabia, the Vatican and Jerusalem, the White House said Tuesday. National Security Advisor H R McMaster laid out a detailed itinerary for the historic trip, due to start late this week, and confirmed that Trump would address a gathering of Muslim leaders on his hopes for a peaceful vision of Islam. Previous U.S. leaders have generally chosen a U.S. neighbor such as Canada or Mexico for their first presidential voyage, but Trump intends to plunge right into some of the world's most difficult spiritual and political conflicts. In Saudi Arabia, after a day of talks with King Salman and his crown prince, Trump will attend a gathering of dozens of leaders from across the Muslim world. The speech is intended to unite the broader Muslim world against common enemies of all civilization and to demonstrate America's commitment to our Muslim partners, McMaster said, adding that Trump will help open a center to de-radicalize extremists. Trump campaigned for office vowing to destroy radical Islamic terrorism and impose a total ban on all Muslim immigration to the United States, raising concerns that his election would only deepen distrust between America and the Muslim world. In office since January 20, he has already attempted to impose a ban on travelers from a group of mainly Muslim countries, before his order fell foul of the U.S. courts. But McMaster stressed that Trump would be visiting sites associated with the world's great religions to stress that we all have to be united and we have to be joined together with an agenda of tolerance and moderation. Western Wall. After Saudi Arabia, Trump's voyage will take him to Jerusalem, where he will meet Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and visit the Wadi Hashem Memorial to the Holocaust. The next day he will pray at the Western Wall, one of Judaism's holiest sites. On the same day, he will meet President Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian territories in Bethlehem on the West Bank, where he will convey his administration's eagerness to facilitate an agreement that ends the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Palestinian officials have put their hopes in Trump to revive the moribund peace process, but, after early enthusiasm for the Republican billionaire's rise gave way to concerns, Israeli officials have been on edge in the run-up to the visit. McMaster failed to answer a direct question as to whether the U.S. government considers the Western Wall to be within Israeli territory, and he said Israeli leaders would not accompany him on his visit to the site in Jerusalem's Old City. He's going to the Western Wall mainly in connection with the theme to connect with three of the world's great religions, McMaster said. Donald Trump will give a speech on combating radical Islam to a group of Muslim leaders in Saudi Arabia during his first trip abroad as U.S. president. Mr. Trump will speak to around 50 Muslim leaders and will take part in opening a center there which is dedicated to promote moderate Islam, said National Security Advisor H R McMaster. The president will deliver an inspiring but direct speech on the need to confront radical ideology and the president's hopes for a peaceful vision of Islam to dominate across the world, Mr. McMaster said. The speech is intended to unite the broader Muslim world against common enemies of all civilization and to demonstrate America's commitment to our Muslim partners, Mr. McMaster added. Saudi Arabia will be the first country Mr. Trump will visit since his inauguration. Although Mr. Trump's itinerary might mirror that of former President Barack Obama's speech in Cairo in 2009, where he spoke of violent extremism and tensions between the communities, it is likely the style and substance of Mr. Trump's speech will be significantly different. The week-long trip abroad will include discussing selling $100 billion worth of weapons to the Saudis, followed by a visit with the Pope. The address to Muslim leaders comes after a rise in the number of terrorist bombings and deadly attacks across Europe, including in Turkey, the UK, France and Germany. Saudi Arabia was accused of producing the terrorists who flew into Manhattan's Twin Towers in 2001 and killed close to 3,000 people. But it was not on the list of 7 Muslim-majority countries affected by the president's immigration and refugee suspension. His executive order was later struck down by federal courts. There has also been a rise in anti-Muslim hate crimes and bias incidents, particularly in the U.S. The FBI reported a spike in such incidents of 67% in 2015. Mr. Trump was accused by critics of stoking this wave of attacks by engaging in anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant rhetoric. In December 2015 he proposed to ban all Muslims from entering the U.S. and claimed that he saw Muslim people clapping and cheering as the Twin Towers fell. The Council on American Islamic Relations also recorded unprecedented levels of anti-Muslim incidents and attacks against mosques across the U.S.